Hello. Welcome to Basic to Advanced of MS Excel Session 1 Part 2. In this session, we'll be learning about various parts of Excel and we'll be covering all the basic parts. So, our first part is naming cells and ranges. In Microsoft Excel, you can name a single cell or a range of cells to make formulas easier to read and remember. If you have row and column labels on a worksheet, you can refer to them directly in a formula or you can use them as names that represent the associated cells. You will get to know more about this in the demonstrated video. The steps are select the cell, range of cells or non-adjacent selections that you want to name. Click the name box at the left end of the formula bar. Then type the name for the cells which you want and then press enter. There is a note: you cannot name a cell while you are changing the contents of the cell. That is, if you are changing or editing the content of a cell at the same time, you cannot change the name of the cell or you cannot put any name in the cell. Also, you can create a name that represents the same cell or range of cells on more than one worksheet. That is, you can give same name to many things in one or more than one worksheet. Names can also be used to represent formulas or values that do not change. Like if there is a certain value which is fixed, you can name them so that you don't have to use that values again and again and you can use that fixed name or variable. Now here is the demonstrated video. Hello. In this class, I'm going to explain to you how to name cells and cell ranges, which is a best practice in Excel. So let us take an example. Here we have to find a simple interest where P is the principal amount, I is the interest and N is number of years. Let's take amount P as 1000. I let's say as 5% interest rate and let's say as 10 years. So these are the constant values. If you want to find simple interest, we have to put the value of these constants. Instead, we can name this constant in the name box as capital P and then we can press enter. So if we can see, this name box is now named as capital P. Similarly, 5% we can name in the name box as I and center. And then for n we can put it as for number of years we can put a small n and press enter. Now you can see all these are named their variables. Now you can find the simple interest using this formula. There is a syntax which will be learning in the future years. Now we will put the formula as equal to capital P multiplied by bracket 1 plus I is to n. And you can see for principal amount of 1000 rupees for rate of interest at 5% and for 10 years 1000 value will give us 1628.895 rupees. Now if you want to change the value of these variables, you can click here and go to formulas, name manager, and you can for if let's say if I want to change n to ny, you can edit here and press ny. This refers to gives the address of the variable which you want to change. For example, it says d10. So here it is d and here it is 10. I will press OK and close. So you can see here this value n is now changed to ny. Now let's say if we don't want to do all these things, I'll delete all this stuff. Press OK, close. And now if we do all these things, click and create from selection and let's say click left column and press OK. You will see that this is automatically named P, this is automatically named I, and this is automatically named N. So this is very simple. We can directly select from create from selection. Now let's say we take any random value 45. If you want to give this as R, capital R. So Excel won't name it capital R as R is reserved for rows in Excel. Similarly, if we want to give it name as capital C, it won't name it capital C because C is also reserved for rows in Excel. So there are some variables which we cannot use and there are other variables which we can use for Excel. So we have to keep in mind which variables we need to use. Thank you. So, as we have learned about naming cells and ranges, we will learn about Introduction to VBA Macros. It is an abbreviation for Visual Basic for Applications, and VBA is a Microsoft's common application programming language for Word, Excel, etc. I realize that for many of you, you are just getting into some of your first Excel spreadsheets, so you're beginners in that regard. But I wanted to make you all aware of VBA macros. It's never too early to start thinking about how you can customize or tailor your Excel worksheet environment using VBA macros. So I'm just going to give you a quick introduction to VBA macros in the video. So what I'm going to do is in this screencast I'll show you how to make custom macros or shortcut keys. The video will be shown later. First we will see that here it shows how to bring the developer tab and how the code which is run behind is shown. Now what all can you do with VBA? We can write macros to automate labor intensive repetitive tasks. The basic use of VBA is that the repetitive tasks which we have to do again and again, it gets looped in a function, and using that shortcut key we can directly perform that task. It can create user defined functions to achieve complicated functionality. It can create standard Windows menu toolbar to interface. Also, it can interact with other window program like MATLAB. You all are familiar with MATLAB now. And the last is it can perform database operation. So in this video you will get to know about VBA macros. Hello, in this video we are going to see how to use macros and record the macros. Firstly, if you want to put in macros in your workbook, you are going to need developer tab. To insert, you can go up here to files, click on the options, click the customize ribbon and then select this developer tab and click OK. You can see developer tab will appear here in the tab box. Now why we use macros? So I'll give you an example. Here this is a really long label. If you want to perform bold, italics and give red color and wrap the text. So you see this is a really long process. We have to do many steps. Instead we can use macros, record the macros and do it in a shortcut key. I'll show you how. Now I have taken here as example, this is a really long label. We go to developer tabs, we'll select the record macro. It is essentially making code behind the scenes for every move that we make. So I'll give you the name as formatting. Shortcut key I'll be using here is Shift F or Shift F. Now you can store this in this workbook or any other personal macro book so that you can use in other macro books as well. I'll be clicking this workbook. You can give any description you want so that you can remember for what have you recorded this macro. I'll click OK and I'll start the recording. Now I'll go to the home tab. I will do the bold, italics, give it nice red color, wrap the text, and I can go to developer tab and stop the recording. Here you can see I'll select another really long label, and now if I click Ctrl plus Shift F, you see it has directly done all the changes, formatting changes that we wanted. So this is a very nice technique so that you can save your time and all the efforts. Another thing, if you want to see how the code works, you can go to Visual Basic, and in this you can see the modules and other things. Also, if you want to save this file, you shouldn't save it in .xlxs. You have to save this file in Excel macro enabled workbook, because if you save this file in Excel workbook, that is .xlsx, it won't save the macros. The macros do not get saved here. So for saving the macros, you have to save in Excel macro enabled workbook, and it is .xlsm. Now you will save and your macros will get saved. Thank you. So that now we have learned with the VBA macros, we will be looking upon the Excel syntax and order of operations. Microsoft Excel has many capabilities that make it suitable to use as a data management tool. Excel makes use of formulas and functions to dynamically calculate results from the data available in your worksheet. Here I'll demonstrate how. Hello, in this video I am going to show you how you can put Excel syntax in cells into Excel. One of the main advantages of using Excel spreadsheets is they can do all different mathematical calculations. For example, I can add 4 plus 5 and it gives me the value. You can build in square root function, square root of 45 and gives it the value. You can take numbers to different powers, so maybe 3 cubed. It gives you the value. So there's all mathematical calculations you can do in Excel. All Excel formulas start with an equal to sign, and so you can just refer to cells. So I could add cell E6 plus E7 and it will give me the value. Now you can go to the formula bar and you can start typing in. So maybe 4 plus 3 equal to 4 plus 3, and you can see here it echoes the same text which we have typed in the formula bar, and then press enter and it gives you the value 7. If you want to just get out of there and if you made a mistake, you can always press the escape key, or if you start typing in the formula you can always go up here in the formula bar and press the cancel key. We have the plus sign that I have already talked to you about. We have the subtraction, so equal to 4 minus 3, that gives the value as 1. It's also a division which would be equal to 4 forward slash divided by 2, it will be value as 2. Now that's I wanted to show you something really useful when you're using Excel syntax. On the formula tab there is evaluate formula. Now for example this is an equation. So in Excel syntax it would be written as equal to in brackets 1 plus again in brackets, because Excel follows a certain order, and then again close the brick bracket and then divide by again a bracket 4 into 5. There we go, get the value as 0.35. Now on the formula tab you can go to evaluate formula and you can step through. So this is looking into the brains of Excel. You can step through to see how Excel is interpreting that formula. So this is really useful for troubleshooting. I am going to go ahead and click. I am first click on this. I'll first click on this and go to evaluate formula, and then I'll type the evaluate option, and you get to see that the underlined part first gets executed. It always does things in parentheses, left to right first. So it's going to calculate 2 into 3, that we got 6. Then it's going to do 1 plus 6 to get 7. So I get the 7, and then it removes the parentheses. So the brackets are removed. It moves on the next set of parentheses, that is 4 times 5 is 20, gets rid of the 20 and then does the final 7 divided by 20. So you see we have got the answer as 0.35. Then you can close. So you can see how Excel is performing your calculation. Thank you. So now we will be learning about formula basics. Formulas in MS Excel begins with an equal sign, which you have already seen. If you don't enter the equal sign, Excel will treat your entry as text and the calculation will fail. After the equal sign, a formula includes the address of the cell, that is it may be B3, C5, D9, anything, whose values will be manipulated with the operands placed below. Some of the basic formulas which are widely used in Excel are the sum, the max, the min function, the now, counta, count, average, rand between, upper, lower, the length. All these functions we will be learning in the future videos. Some basic operators are The operator which we already know from the basic standards. First is the plus, which is the addition. For example, you can put in the cell as is equal to A7 plus A9. Second is the subtraction. Third is the multiplication. Fourth is the division. And fifth is the power 2. And the last is the parenthesis. The order in which these operators are executed are the parenthesis goes first, then the multiplication or division in order from left to right, and then addition or subtraction that also in the order of left to right. In this picture below you can see the addition and their examples. Next is the comparison operators, which compares two values and then produce the logical value which may be true or false. First comparison operator is the equal sign, which means it tells about are both the values equal to, so equal to a1 equal to b1. Second is the greater sign, which tells that which number or value is greater than the another. Third is the less than sign. It tells which number is less among the two numbers. Third is greater than or equal to sign. Fourth one is the greater than or equal to sign. It tells that which number is greater or maybe equal to another number. Fifth is the less than or equal to sign, and last is not equal to sign. It tells that if both the numbers are not equal to, it will give as false. Here is the picture in which you can see the comparison operator, its symbol, and the example where I have taken two numbers and then the formula which we'll be using for the relatable operator and then the result which it will give. Now I'll give you the introduction to functions. A function is named operator that returns a value. Microsoft Excel contains many predefined functions that can be used in formulas. To enter a function, you can either type it in directly or select it from the dialog box that appears when you click the paste function button on the standard toolbar. One of the Excel's strength is its hundreds if not thousands of different functions that you can use. So in the future video I am just going to kind of give you a real basic introduction and overview of functions and how to use them in Excel. Excel functions always start with an equal sign, so you would plug this into a cell on the Excel worksheet. It has a function name and you have arguments that go in parentheses. So this is just a real generic representation of how to use functions. There are three types of functions in Excel. There are functions with zero arguments, functions with one argument, and there are functions with multiple arguments. Now these arguments always go inside the parentheses after the function name. These arguments can be single cells and the values, so you can refer other cells on the spreadsheet. Some basic Excel formulas here are the average formula, the mean, the max, the count function, and the count blank function. Here you can see on the right picture the fx where you can use it to insert the function. The syntax of the function is it always begins with the function name followed by operating opening parenthesis, arguments of the function separated by comma. We have already seen this. As you create a formula that contains a function, the formula palette can help you. That is the fx function. The tab or the box on the right side of the fx, that is insert function box. There is a dialog box that comes up after you select a function from the paste function dialog box and then click OK. Arguments to functions can be numbers, text, logical values such as true or false, arrays, error values such as NA that is not applicable, or cell references, or it can be constants, formulas, or other functions. Now there are various categories of functions: financial, date and time, mathematics and trigonometry, statistical, lookup and reference, database, text, logical and information. Don't worry, you will get to know all of this in some meantime. Now here is a video explaining you about some little functions of Excel. Hello, in this video I will explain you about the functions. Functions are a very important part of Excel. It helps us in carrying out various processes in Excel. Now the first important part of function is equal to sign, that is its syntax. Always the function starts with equal to sign. If we don't put equal to sign, Excel doesn't recognize it as a function. I'll take any simple function as now. Second important part is the parenthesis. Functions always have a parenthesis as we learned before. Now we click enter. Now function gives us the time and the date of today's. This is the time and this is the date. Another function is pi. So we all know the value of pi. Excel gives us the value of pi, that is 3.14. Another function is square root. We put in the bracket the value and close the bracket. This gives the value. The more example of function are using sum function. Now in sum you can pick the numeric value, that is this, plus you can give cell as a reference and it will give the sum of these two values. Also if you want give two values directly, we can give as sum of 4 plus 5, close the bracket, and it will give us the value of 4 plus 5. Also if you don't want to click here, you can click always here as equal to sum of 4 plus 5. And you see what we are typing here, it's typed here and click enter and we get the value. Now there are some more functions as equal to max. Here is the list of elements. If we click all this and close the bracket, the max function gives us the maximum value from these elements. Also another function is equal to mean. Now if we select from this array and close the bracket, mean function gives us the minimum value from all the set of values. So we see we can do a lot of things using functions. Also you don't need to worry if you don't remember the function. Here is a insert function box. You can go here and type the related description you remember, like combination. If you want to do combination, you can type combination here, go, and it will tell us the related function we can use. Like here it is combine. We can click OK. We can click the number, that is 4, and the number chosen to be 2, and click OK, and it tells us the values here 4 and 2 and 6. So it tells us that the combination of 4 numbers in a pair of 2 will give us 6 combinations. Now I'll tell you a small example which will give you a more clear idea. Here are the list of seller, list of buyers, the cookie to be sold, the quantity and the price. So we will see the total price. Now we put first equal to, then click this cell and then multiplied by this cell and we get the total price of this. Now I'll drag this till down and we get the total price of all the things. Now if we click sum and open the bracket and drag all this, we get the total sum of the cookies. We get the total as 1030. Now for total quantity of cookies sold, we get sum and click all this tab and again close the bracket and we get the sum as this. Now the number of sales that are done, again we need to see the sum function, click bracket open, the number of sellers that are there, close the bracket, and we click the sum function and see for the number of sales we have to use the counter function which we'll be studying further. We click this and then close the bracket and see that there are 7 number of sellers. For maximum sale, as we have seen, we use the max function, and the maximum quantity which is done, we see that 11 is the maximum quantity that is sold, and the maximum sale we again use the maximum function, and the maximum that is done from this list, we see that 225 is the maximum sale that has happened. Now if you see, if you want to add or insert, let's say Ella sold to Sally choco chip some 5 quantity at the rate of 20, and we will see that it will automatically give the value 100. It will add the total quantity as 50 it will also increase the number of cells, and it will also give us the maximum cell quantity. So it will update all the values and it will give us the recent values. So that's it for functions. Thank you. Now we will learn about some logical functions. The main logical function is the AND. We already know about the AND gates and all the things, but here it is the same AND which we have learned. The AND function returns true if all its arguments are true, and it returns false if any argument is false. So if all the arguments are true for AND function, it will return the value as true, but if any one of the argument of AND is false or 0, it will return as false. Second is the NOT function. It reverses the logic of the argument and returns true for a false argument and false for a true argument. So if it is 0 or false, the value that will be reversed, and the not logical function will give it value as true, and if the argument is true, then it will return as false argument. Some other logical functions are if, XOR, that we'll be learning in our future course. Now, the main part, that is count, summing and the averaging function. To count the number of cells that contains number, we use the count function. To count cells based on criteria, use the COUNTIF function. And to count the cells including numerical and alphabets, in the previous video we have seen that count function, we can use the count function for counting the numericals, but for counting the alphabets also we have to use the COUNTA function. Now for to sum a range of cells, we use the sum function as we have seen in the previous video. To sum cells based on a criteria, we use the SUMIF function. To calculate the average of a range of cells, we use the average function, and to average cells based on one criteria, we use the averageIF function. The picture shows us the sum and the average function demonstration. In this video, you will learn and understand more about these functions. Hello. In this video, I will explain you about counting, summing and average functions of Excel. The summing and average are the most used functions of Excel. Here are some random examples. Hello is a word, 8 is any number, this is a date, this is a currency value, and this is another random number. First, we will look upon the count function. The syntax is equal to count, and we'll select a particular data and close the bracket. And here it gives the value 3. Hello, it is not counted under the count function. Also the currency value is not counted. The values counted are 8, the date, and another random number. If I want to count all these values, we have another function, that is count A, and then we select all this data and then close the bracket, and see the value gives as 5. Now if I select count and click the C block, C column, it gives the value as 3, and if I add any other element or data in the C column, such as I add 80, a random number, the value gets updated to 4. The value is increased from 3 to 4. So if I give input any other value to C, numeric value, this value will be updated. Now if I use the count function, in the block itself, in its own block, it gives us error. The error is it has one or more circular references. It has a circular reference. That's why we cannot use count in its own column. This was all for count. Now we will see about the sum and averaging part. So here is a block of data. Here are the names of students. Here is their student ID, and here are the marks of their assignment. So if I want the sum or average, I select all this data, and here a small box appears where it is shown as quick analysis. On clicking this, here we can see that there are many types of analysis we can do, like formatting, doing charts, having totals, tables and sparklines. Where we see for the totals, and then what we want average. So here is the average of assignment 1 marks of all the students. Now if I again want the average, I'll go in the total part, and again I will select the average. So this average will tell me the average of all the assignments of one student. Also, if you want to see the sum part, you can again go in the analysis totals and you can look for the sum part. So now if this was for sum and average, I'll explain you about some another function, for example like rows and columns. For rows, we have a syntax as rows and select some data. For example, we have selected this data. It will tell us the number of rows. So it tells us that there are 5 rows. Also, if I want the number of columns and I select this data, block of data, it will tell me that there are 5 columns. Now, if I want to know a row of particular number, so syntax for particular row is only row, and I'll select any, say I selected this element and I'll close the bracket, enter, and it tells that it is the fourth row. So we get to know, yes, it is the fourth row. Now if I want to know about a element in a particular column, so I select equal to column and I select this number and close the bracket, and it tells me that it is in the third column. This was for rows and columns. I'll explain you more about rows and columns. Here are 5 rows and 5 columns. So if I want to delete a particular column, see the third column gets skipped or deleted. Also, if I delete a row, the second row gets skipped. It goes as 1, 3, 4, 5. But we do not want like this. We want to go in serial order. So what we do, the first element of the row, instead of 1 using constant, we use ROW. So using row, we get to know that here it comes 4, but we want 1. What we do, we go here and do minus 3. It gets the value as 1. Now we take this formula and drag it down, and it gets applied to all those row numbers. Now similarly for this, I'll do as column. It gives me the value as 5 as it is in the fifth column. What I will do, I want 1, so I'll minus 4 it, and it will give me the value as 1. I'll apply the formula and drag 5. Now you see that formula is applied. So if I delete any other row now or column, for example I've deleted this, you see that it gets applied and there is no breakage of serial order. The serial order is followed 1, 2, 3, 4. The column which we have deleted 3, it does not get applied. 3, the serial order is followed. Even if also I delete any row, for example I delete this row, you will get to see that the order is still followed. So this was all for rows and columns. Thank you. So now as we have learned about counting, summing and averaging, we will look upon some more functions which are used in Excel, such as this is the rounding function. Now there are many types of rounding such as int, trunc, round, round up, round down and mround, ceiling and floor. So first we will look upon the round function. Here we in this example you will learn about how we use the round function. So here using the round function you can round to the right of the decimal point, or the rounding function rounds up any number to its nearest value of the integer. Now about round down. About the round down function, the round down function rounds the value to the nearest integer which is closest to 0. So if I have an example as minus 3.2 or plus 3.2, so round down will round it to the value of 3 as 3 is close to 0. Similarly for round up function, the round up function will round the value away from 0. So if I have the value as 3.2 and I use the round up function on 3.2, so it will round the value as at 4 as 4 is away from the 0. Now about the floor function. The floor function, it rounds down to the nearest multiple, as floor its meaning says that floor is below, so it rounds down to the nearest multiple of significance which we want to give. Like here in the example we can see that 5.83 and we round down to a significance of 0.05 and it is rounded to 5.80. Similarly, for ceiling function, it rounds up to the nearest multiple but of certain significance, like For 5.3 and a significance of 0.25 using the ceiling function, the value becomes 6. There are many examples. We will learn about this in video. Now the remainder function. As we all know, remainder function will give us the remainder. It is also known as a mod function. The syntax is equal to mod, the first number which will be the divisor, and the the first number will be the number, and the second will be the divisor which we want to divide. Now what it means, number whose remainder you used to find, and number to divide with. So for example, mod 13 comma 3 returns 1, as when you divide 13 by 3 will give a quotient of 4 and leaves a remainder of 1. The photos will tell you more about mod function, and the right side photo will tell you the number, divisor, its formula, and how mod function is used. We will look upon this in the video. Hello, in this video I will explain you about various functions which come under round function and its type. For example, this one is the int function. It is used to find the integer value of any number. Now I'll use the int function of 3.2, and it will give me the integer part of number 3.2. So 3 is the integer part of number 3.2. Now I will simply drag this down and use the formula again. So it gives me the integer part of all these numbers. Another function is the trunc function, which I will use again on 3.2, and it gives me the truncated value of 3.2. Again I can use to this formula to drag this down, and we get the truncated value of all these numbers. So you notice that there are a couple of differences, especially when you get to the negative numbers. Let me show you how you can use round function on this number here. I am going to go ahead to put in round function. First the number, and the number of digits that I will be selecting is the thousands place. So I get the same value, that is 123.46. Now I will again use the round function, select the number, comma, and I'll now round it to hundreds place. So I get the value is 123.46. Similarly, I will be doing the hundreds place, and for the zeroth place, and for the left hand side of the zeroth place, that is, I will be clicking the number and giving -1. So you see that 123 becomes 120. This was a short video. Now I will explain you about round up and round zero. So we are going to put our number in there and then the number of digits. I'm just going to use 0 for all of these examples, but we can certainly use different numbers in there. So this is rounding to the nearest ones place. You see that we always round to the nearest integer. For now round, we will be using round and then number, and then we will be using zeros. This rounds 3.2 to the nearest integer, that is 3. I will drag and get the round values. Now for round up, if we now punch in the roundup function, roundup function 3.2 comma 0, you see that we always round to the nearest integer. We are always going to the round up, so that means away from the 0. Now I'll again drag this down and get the round up values of all these numbers. The round down function, we are rounding to the significance of 0. Round down. Now I'll again select this number, comma 0, press enter, and I will get the value as 3. Again I will drag and use this formula again. So we are rounding to the significance of 0, which is ones place, and this always rounds towards 0. Now we will look upon another functions such as mround, ceiling, and floor. Mround rounds to the nearest quarter. We will look how this function works now. Mround, first we will click the number, and I have my number here in my significance up. It gives me the value as 4.75, and for the value of 4.4 comma significance, I get the value as 4.5. Similarly, for ceiling 4.8 comma the significance value, ceiling function of a number over here with a significance level up here, it's always going to go up. So we are going to go up to 5 and 4.4 is going to go up 4.4 be going up to 4.5. Now the floor function goes down to the nearest significance level. So I'll explain you how. Floor 4.8 comma 0.25 and press, and you get to know the value as 4.75, and I can drag that down, or maybe I can again use the formula or the function comma the significance part. So you get to see that I get the value 4.4 for floor as 4.25. Now if I change my significance level maybe to 0.2, you see that those formulas will adjust automatically and the numbers will change. This was all for round and its various type of functions. Now we will see about the remainder, which is also known as the modulus. So if I use the mod function here and just put the number and then comma and put the divisor, we get the modulus that is 1. So when 7 is divided by 3, the remainder is 1. Again by using the mod function, also we can drag or use the formula or the function, and I click 7. I get the remainder modulus as 2. If I want to keep the number, so this is actually 7 divided by 3 is equal to 2. You can always use the integer function of the number divided by the divisor. So 7 divided by 3 is 2.33, and this is just going to keep the integer part. 7 divided by the divisor part, and it gives a value, and I can just drag it down. So you see that when 100 is divided by 7, 14 is the integer and 2 is the modulus part. That's it from this video. I hope you have learned about rounding and remainders. Thank you. So you have seen a small video about round and its various type of functions. There are very small differences between some of these functions. So if you are struggling with understanding all the little details, you can always refer back to these videos or other reference materials. Now about the random functions. Random function creates random numbers. Rand function gives random numbers always in decimal form. Rand between gives the number of random numbers between all random numbers. So the syntax for the rand function is rand and the parenthesis, and it will create any random number which will be always between 0 and 1. The rand B6 to B11 will create 6 random numbers, which is shown here. It will give all the 6 numbers from B6 to B11. Now in the right picture, rand between 0 to 1 will rand between 0 to 1 or rand between 10 to 50 will give a count of random numbers between the selected range of value. Now about the permutation and combination are the two concepts. First, the combination. For a given set of combination, it will tell the possible number of combinations where the order doesn't matter. The syntax for combination is combine. It is the formula or it is the function used to find the combinations. Inside the bracket, the total number or the number which is to be chosen, and the comma and the number chosen to combine, that is the total number of pairs to be made. So combine total number comma number chosen to combine. This was for the combinations. You can see in the picture below for A, B, C, D, E, there are five total objects, and if I want to make it in pairs of 2, so there will be using the formula equal to combine comma 5 comma 2, or using the cell references D9 comma D10, we can get the total number of combinations. Now for permutation, it will give all the possible number of combinations, but here the order does matter. Its syntax is permute in the inside the bracket the number, the total number and the number chosen to permute. So in the photo you will see that permute number comma number chosen. So for 5 numbers, and if I choose 1, the result will be 5. Then for 5 numbers, and if I want to make 2 pairs, the result will be 20, and so on. You will get more clear idea in the video below. Hello, in this video I will explain you how to get random numbers from Excel and how much they are useful. I will go through an example. There is a rand function, so you can just do rand. Syntax is equal to rand and parenthesis and press enter, and you get a random number between 0 and 1. You can drag this formula down. So maybe you wanted a column of random numbers or an array or a set of many random numbers. You notice that when I drag it down, the top one changed because every time you recalculate a formula in Excel, it does so for the entire worksheet. We could create an array of random numbers. The rand function always generates a number between 0 and 1. Maybe you want a number between 1 and 10. So there's a rand between function. I'll show you. RAND between. Now you have to select the range in between which you want the numbers. So I'll select the range of 1 to 10. Numbers 1 to 10 are inclusive. It is going to choose with equal weighting a number between 1 and 10. And again you can drag this over and drag on the right side to get an array. Well, let's say you had a presentation order of students in a class or some order that you want to randomly assign. You can go in here and you can type equal to rand to assign any random number, and then you can drag it down. So I want to make these numbers permanent. So I am going to right click and then copy, and I am just going to paste special. So I am going to paste special, so I have the values. So now when I recalculate or move things around on the spreadsheet, move things, they are not changing because these are no longer formulas. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select both of the columns and I am going to sort by the second column. I am going to sort the second column lowest to highest, or you could do highest to lowest. Bottom line is you are randomizing the student list over here. We can go to the home tab and I can go here to the sort and filter section, and then I will do the custom sort. Now I want to sort the column D, which is the random numbers part, and I will sort in order of smallest to largest. You can also sort in order of largest to smallest. Click OK, and then you will see that the values get ordered or sorted in a ascending order. And now I have randomized the order. Look, now in this way Shreya will go first. So that's how you can randomize a list of names using random numbers. Now we are going to talk about combinations and permutations. Let's say we have 4 people or 4 students, say Alex, Jenny, Ella and Lucy, and we wanted to determine out of those how many different pairs could we create or how many combinations of 2. There is a function called combine function. The first argument is the total number. First argument is the total number, and second number is the number of pairs that we want to make. So 4 is the total number here, and if I make combinations of 2 out of 4 students, so I get the value as 6 combinations. There are also something known as permutations. With combinations doesn't matter, so Alex and Jenny would be the same combination as Jenny and Alex. Permutations are a little different in that order. So order does matter in permutations. So Alex and Jenny in that order is different than Jenny and Alex. To calculate permutations in Excel, we can use the permute formula, that is P permute. Now I'll again select the 4 choose from, and let's say I have to make pairs of 2. Oops. Permute I'll make test of two students and see I get the value as 12. If we write all of these combinations here now, Alex and Jenny, Alex and Ella, Alex, Lucy, Jenny, Ella, Jenny, Lucy, Alex, Jenny, those are out of 6 combinations. So order doesn't matter. Alex and Jenny is same as Jenny and Alex. But in the permutations, if we take that single combination of Alex and Jenny, we could permute that into 2 because we have Alex and Jenny which is different from Jenny and Alex, and we can do that the same thing for other combination. So there are 12 permutations in total, whereas there are only 6 combinations. I hope that you have learnt about the numbers, random functions, and the combinations and permutations. Thank you. So this was all for basics of Excel. I hope you have understood and learned about all the basic topics of Excel such as naming cells, syntax, formulas and using large number of various types of functions. Also you will get more information in our future videos. If you all of you make sure you give a try for assignment and quiz which are mentioned after this video. Also, if you have any doubts or problem in understanding the topic, your doubts are more than welcome as our contacts are mentioned in the brochure and we will look to it that they will get solved for you. Thank you for having your valuable time.